What's going on, everybody? Jay Howe here, and in this Diablo 3 monk build, we're going to cover an alternative build for the monk in Season 9 and patch 2.4.3. Now, obviously, this is going to look extremely similar to the one that we had before, so if you've already checked out that video, you might want to go straight to the gear section because the skills are going to be exactly the same. And we'll talk about that here in just a moment, and when we get to the gear, we'll talk about some of the key differences for the greater rift pushes that you're going to be making. So without further ado, let's get into the skills. All right, so for the skills, Crippling Wave with Mangle. That's a big deal because this is your main damage dealer. It's going to be something you're going to be spamming non-stop. Unleash a series of large sweeping attacks that deal damage. Every third hit also dazes enemies within 11 yards, and so on and so forth. And this is just so crucial because you're going to be doing a lot of AoE damage, and this really hinders on a lot of AoE damage, and we'll talk about that more when we get to the gear section. Dashing Strike with Radiance. Now this is a little bit different than when you run with the full Raiment set. We're going to still be running Shenlongs, but we're going to be running Innas instead, and we'll talk about that more in depth because it was patched going into this season. You get that extra 15% in attack speed for 4 seconds after using Dashing Strike. A really big deal there to get that boost up in damage and attack speed. Cyclone Strike with Implosion. You need to be able to pull in as many enemies as you can. Implosion with that bigger radius means that you can get more people on top of you, more AoE damage, and faster clears. Breath of Heaven infused with Light. Gain 14 additional spirit from spirit generating attacks for 5 seconds. You need to be able to have this. You're going to be running Shenlong, so getting your spirit up is what's key. You also get a little bit more out of it with the heal, but the main thing is get that spirit, get that heal, you'll be fine. The mantra, not a huge deal here. We'll talk about this when we get to the gear because you're going to be using Innas, but Mantra of Salvation, Agility, you can pretty much go with whatever you want. Rarely do you actively proc this, but Agility, not a bad backup option. Epiphany, Desert Shroud, infuse yourself with sand, reducing damage taken by 50%. You also get some help in the spirit area, but normally this is going to be a defensive cooldown, especially when you're facing elites. When it comes to the passives, everything is going to look the same. Again, Alacrity, increase the attack speed of spirit generators, a no-brainer because that's all you're going to be attacking with. Harmony, 40% of your single elemental resistances from items. Now you get that to the all resist, all elements there, a great defensive passive there. Seize the Initiative, dealing damage to enemies above 75% life. Increase your attack speed by 30% for 4 seconds. More damage, more spirit generating, not a big deal. Beacon of Etar, reduce all cooldowns by 20%. That's going to go back to your Breath of Heaven, which is going to be good. Dashing Strike even benefits from this a little bit. But then Epiphany, going to be important as well to have that at those key moments. All right, so now we talk about the gear and the key differences on where this differs from the Raiment set versus the Innas set. But first, let's talk about the obvious. This is a Shenlong's build. The damage of your spirit generators is increased by 1.5% for each point of spirit you have. So getting your spirit up for that extra damage obviously is going to help a lot, but we already know what Shenlong's does. It's been at the top for a while. But let's talk about Innas. The 2-piece bonus increases the passive effect of your Mystic Ally and the base passive effect of your mantra by 100%. So we talked about the mantras and being able to do stuff with them because the 4-piece bonus, you gain the base effect of all 4 mantras at one time. We talked about in the skills, it's not a big deal to worry about because you're going to be getting this from the set bonus. So getting that extra effect there means that you're going to have more survivability and more overall functionality, but it is slightly different from the Raiment set. Now, in the patch notes, the 6-piece bonus was changed. Now, gain the 5 runed Mystic Allies at all times, and your damage is increased by 100% for each Mystic Ally you have out. So this has kind of changed a little bit, and we now see the Innas set in the top 10 in the Greater Rift leaderboards in Season 9. So a little bit of a change is bringing this a little bit more to the forefront. Some people might not like the Raiment set, or they might just like seeing the horde of Mystic allies that they have by their side, which does look pretty cool. We'll also talk about the cube where another key item comes into play. But as you can see, Innas, not that bad when you talk about Season 9 and patch 2.4.3. Now, the thing about this is you want to have 5 pieces. You're going to have the Ring of Royal Grandeur in your cube, and so you need to have 5 pieces of Innas, and then on the other side, you're going to have 2 pieces of the Raiment set. Now, this is an old school throwback, but again, the change to The Inna set brings it a little bit more to the forefront. The two-piece Raiment set says that your spirit generators have 25% increased attack speed and 100% increased damage. It's impossible to pass that up, which is why you put your Ring of Royal Grandeur in your cube, and you get the benefit out of Innas, plus you're able to get the two-piece bonus out of the Raiment set. I can't stress enough that when you get to high greater rifts, and especially if you're trying to push the rift leaderboard, is that this is going to rely really heavily on density, and you got to have the right map. You need to have good density, you need to have the right mobs, and you need to be able to do that AoE, and that's where this build really shines. And it's really difficult sometimes to get the right greater rifts, and that's why oftentimes the Raiment set is preferred over the Inna's set. You miss out on having that extra damage from the Radiant Strike, that extra mobility from the Radiant Strike because of the Raiment set bonuses. So Inna's, you get one thing, but you trade out another, which is why it's not as popular, but it is starting to show up a little bit more and more, and a lot of people are actually liking this. It might not be your playstyle, but it actually works out really well. A few key things to note is in the areas where you can get good area damage, like your shoulders, your gloves, and even your weapon, it's good to have some area damage, but don't forget you need to have some cooldown reduction to be able to get your Breath of Heaven and your Epiphany to be on cooldown. But namely, it's about that Breath of Heaven to be able to get that spirit back because you're dealing with the Shenlongs. When it comes to the rest of your gear, Spirit Guards in your Bracer slot, your Spirit Generators reduce your damage taken by anywhere between 30 to 40% for 3 seconds. A great defensive item to have on there to mitigate a lot of that damage. When it comes to the jewelry, the Unity on you, the Unity on your follower will help you reduce even more damage. Then when it comes to the other ring and the amulet, you're going to be using the Endless Walk set. While standing still, damage dealt is increased by up to 100%. I already talked about, you want to get in the middle of mobs, bring them all around you, and then go to town. So using your Radiant Strike only when necessary to get that attack speed, and then to be able to stand still and have everything on top of you, this is where it will really start to shine. So getting that on your ring and your amulet for the Endless Walk set will help you out tremendously. When we look at the cube, the Flying Dragon, of course, is going to be the weapon of choice. To double your attack speed when attacking is a pretty big deal because you're attacking so fast that this is going to proc more often. It's just a no-brainer. Now, when it comes to the armor slot, we already talked about getting all of the Mystic allies by your side with Innas. Well, you're going to be running the crudest boots in your armor slot that says Mystic Allies summons 2 Mystic Allies that fight by your side. So now all of a sudden you get double the Mystic Allies, which is why you have this huge Mystic Ally army following you around now. So that's actually a crucial element to make this build work. To be able to have the crudest boots there is gonna be necessary. We already talked about the Ring of Royal Grandeur. It's going to allow you to have that 6-piece bonus from the Innas and have that 2-piece bonus from the Raiment set. So those items in your cube are 100% necessary to really make this work at high greater rifts. When it comes to your legendary gems, the no-brainer choice is going to be Simplicity Strength. Increase the damage of your primary skills by X% based on how high you have it leveled up. And then hits with primary abilities heal you for 4% of your max health. That's actually a really big deal at high greater rifts, especially when you're standing in there getting hit by so many things. Next up, Bane of the Trapped. This is huge because, again, you have so many enemies on top of you. You're already going to have those CC effects on top of them, so amplifying the damage that they take, a pretty big deal. Lastly, Bane of the Stricken. Now, when it comes to the Rift bosses, you definitely need this. This build is super weak when it comes to attacking only one enemy or a handful of enemies. Yes, you'll get some extra damage out of the Mystic Allies, but this really excels in the area of effect that I talked about before, so you tend to lose out quite a bit. So having that Bane of the Stricken will help you on those tough boss fights, and this is really going to be where it shines. It can help you at certain areas, of course, but your main thing is going to be on the Rift boss, but it's a twofold value there. So that's going to do it for this Diablo 3 Monk build in 2.4.3 in Season 9. Yes, it's very familiar to the other build that we have, but it's slightly different when we talk about Innas and what it brings to the table. Pick and choose whichever one works best for your playstyle and go for it. Be also sure to check out some of the other videos that are available, and if you're looking for more Diablo content, make sure and subscribe as well. As always, I appreciate you guys watching. Until next time, happy hunting! See you again.